Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet, about to be joined by Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Together, we are Kenny and Renny, and this is the Kenny and Renny post-game show. And boy, oh boy, I'll tell you this about the Winnipeg Jets. They are giving us interesting stuff to talk about through this entire last stretch of about 9-10 games that they've been playing. An absolutely interesting game between them and the New Jersey Devils. 8-4 drubbing is one way you could look at it. A phenomenal start to the game, which is everything that they would have been looking for. Then blowing that lead, which started to make it feel like it was just the Winnipeg Jets couldn't figure this out. And then all of a sudden they come marching back. So 3 straight goals for the Jets, 4 straight goals for the New Jersey Devils, 5 straight for the Winnipeg Jets, again, to win that 8-4. Emotional roller coaster is the perfect way to put it, as Ernie Thiessen is saying here. I couldn't agree with him more. And I guess Jet Oil Tom saying the dam broke. I mean, you could take a look at that and think that that's the case as well. We'll get into all of that, and the best guy to get into it with is our main man, Kenny and Wibby. Kenny and Weeby. Here comes Ken. This is the way to bring him in. And my friend, there is no shortage of interesting games to talk about with the Winnipeg Jets these days. And this is just another one of them all over again. I wasn't sure how to take that. I will say this. I like what I heard from Mark Scheifele, from Nick Ehlers, and especially Paul Maurice after the game, because I wanted to make sure that they were kind of seeing things in a way that it wasn't just like sunshine and rainbows. I think we saw enough of that. But what did you see, Ken?
Yeah, we saw an interesting affair, that's for sure. 3-0 out of the gate. Looked like the Jets were kind of cruising, and I guess some folk, the Jets opened the door with the penalty kill, like in some regards. A little bit of puck management issue on the second goal. I mean, I understand folks will be up in arms. The Scheifele line was out for it, but Scheifele won the draw cleanly. Kyle Connor wanted to get it back to Nate Schmidt, but it was intercepted by Jesper Bratt. And next thing you know, it's in the net, and the Jets are sort of on a period where it looked like they were bordering on dominant, suddenly allowed their opponent to hang around. And then you looked up before it was 2 minutes into the second, and the Jets are down a goal, and you wonder, is the roof going to cave in, or are they going to find a way to respond? And respond they did. So it was an interesting game all around, Sean. I think there were a lot of correctable errors that led to goals. The Jets do take some advantage of some, let's just say, suspect puck management, if you will, by the Devils. But if their goal was to generate more offense in a week where they had time to get recharged, well, they had scored 9 in the previous 7 games and 8 tonight. So I would say you have to give them credit for that. I don't think that we will be expecting an 8-4 game on Sunday when the Toronto Maple Leafs come to town. I would say it was a important step forward for a team that really needed a boost in terms of their offensive game. The sun shining into this spot here, not ideal.
It looks good. It looks good. Yeah. It looks like the heavens
especially
are shining
bouncing
down
off my head. Yeah, exactly. It's very, very interesting. Overall, I would say the Jets will take it. That certainly was not their template to get things done, but 2 big things, Sean. All week we've been talking about the need for Mark Scheifele to get going. Just 2 goals in those 16 games. Well, there's a hat trick for you, and all in impressive fashion. Nikolai Ehlers, no points in 5 games. What happened with Nikolai Ehlers? We saw chemistry with Pierre-Luc Dubois, and we saw Nikolai Ehlers flying again. And the other part, too, and we'll dig into this, too, now that I step away from the buffet, we've been talking about the third line kind of needing an identity type of game. I thought Adam Lowry set the physical tone. Paul Stastny's smarts were on display throughout. And Christian Vesalainen, a guy that needed to get going. 5 shots on goal in the month of November. 5 shots on goal tonight, and an important goal for a line that had not been generating very much. So I would say those parts of the game were impressive. And then later on, I mean, Jansen Harkins was not on the fourth line at the time, but that drive, the zone entry, delay, getting the puck back for the goal after that power play shift, it doesn't count as a fourth line point necessarily because he was on the third line, but they basically had everybody and every line contributing. So I would say that was an important win, but only a small step forward for a team that really needed one. I mean, they were 6 of 7 and in danger of falling even further down the standings. They get themselves back over the line, at least momentarily.
As you know, Ken, I'm a big believer in the power of the media and the media pundit. As if you've been watching Kenny and Renny, you know earlier in the season, I entirely blamed Nick Ehlers' struggles on our main man. Yeah. No, not on you. Not on you.
Oh, because I predicted 40. I thought it was my fault.
No, it wasn't your fault. It was Elliot Friedman's fault.
Oh, sorry.
Put him at the beginning of the season in the MVP conversation to start the year. I thought, okay, well, let's start with some high hopes right off the bat. I thought that was, when I heard that was a real eyebrow raiser for me. But I want to say, in the same vein, let's hand the MVP of tonight's game to our main man Hustler, who you were on with yesterday. And I was on with today, and I know it
started on Monday though with Hustler.
Yeah, it started with it when he had Jeff Hamilton on. Great show, but there's going to be a lot of our audience that is going to be, they're going to check us out. They're going to check out Winnipeg Sports Talk, which they should. Great content at all times. But Huss floated the idea of trading Mark Scheifele in that show, built a case for trading Mark Scheifele, which, you know what, I love that he did that. I love the idea of, he's got a manageable contract. He can fetch a lot. Pierre-Luc Dubois is looking like a number one center. I'm just going through all the things that he said. I'm not saying I agree. And at the time, I kind of thought, like, boy, oh boy, you're talking about a point per game player for how many years now goes through one rough patch, and we're talking about trading him. But I can tell you right now, with 100% certainty, Kenny, that Mark Scheifele tuned into that show, heard what was happening, and said, I got to put a stop to this right now. So good on Hustler for getting Mark Scheifele mad. No, I'm kidding about all that. But I'll say this. My favorite thing, and you touched on some of it there, but my favorite thing was the responses that we saw. So Mark Scheifele hadn't been going. I think Blake Wheeler has been taking the brunt of the criticism for the players not going on this team right now. When you're the captain, maybe that comes with it. Maybe when you're the age that he is, the opportunities that he's been given, working his way up the lineup, maybe that's understandable. But I did think for the most part, Mark Scheifele hasn't been leaned on for not getting going. I asked him about it this morning. I like that he didn't shy away from it. He's taking on the idea that he wasn't playing well. He said you just got to keep doing the right things over and over again. Eventually it's going to happen for him. But I loved his response. He came out to play tonight, and I loved his response. Then who else did we need to see a response from? How about Nick Ehlers? Had got sent down the lineup to the third line, gets moved up to the second, gets an opportunity on that second, is asked the question, can you find a little bit of chemistry with Pierre-Luc Dubois and maybe reawaken Pierre-Luc Dubois' game a bit? And not that it needed a lot to be waking up, but give that the stamp of approval from the Winnipeg Jets for Nick Ehlers, who came in and was absolutely phenomenal tonight. And then to your point, on the third line, 5 shots and a goal from Christian Vesalainen. I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say I've been saying it, and I don't think that Christian Vesalainen has earned his opportunity up the lineup. When I saw him put on that third line, I looked at it and I thought, here's a guy who they're just trying, right? They don't have things working. This isn't a guy who stood up in the dressing room with his play and said, Coach, give me a spot in that on that third line, and I'll make it happen for you. His play had not suggested that before this, but on this night it did. So he was given an opportunity and he paid it off. He took that opportunity. He ran with it. I love that tonight. There are 3 main players, and I guess maybe you can even throw Blake Wheeler into that because he's been taking the criticism, and he had a 3-point night, was the third star on the night. But the players that we've been asking the questions about came out tonight and they answered those questions. That to me is the biggest story on this night, and there's a ton more stories to get to, but you have to like the responses you saw from those players. And I mean, that to me is the biggest reason why we're talking about a blowout win.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I liked Mark Scheifele's response to you this morning as well, Sean, quite frankly. I mean, it's always such a reminder of a little bit of recency bias for us, right? I mean, when you asked Mark if he felt like he'd gone through something similar, and he's like, he kind of almost felt like he'd gone through it, not all the time, but that's such an important thing. I mean, we totally understand. We got to ask the question because it's fact. Mark Scheifele was struggling, but he showed the internal belief and confidence, but more importantly, he went out and did something about it, Sean, right? I mean, that's the response. That's the only response that matters, not if he gets up in arms or if he's casual or calm in a response to a question. All that matters is what he does on the ice. And
Sure.
For me, the biggest part of the response was the fact that that line had been on the ice for a couple goals against. I mean, obviously, one is terrible luck. I mean, it went off of Josh Morrissey's helmet and in. And the other one, Scheifele won the draw, and Connor kind of, I wouldn't say he was casual, but, I mean, if you're going back to the point man there, you have to make sure it gets through. So they were on for a couple goals against, but then they went out and did something about it and scored 2 more. So, I mean, I know that a lot of folks were up in arms about that line being back together, but, well, hey, tonight they got the job done. And the other part of it, too, Nikolai Ehlers needed to get himself going. And we talked about it a lot during the week. I mean, some folks didn't like it, but the Jets did look a lot sharper with the benefit of the time off, especially a guy like Ehlers, who had been dealing with a little bit of an injury, it sounded like. We know that Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler have been dealing with COVID for a degree. I mean, so they get an extra day of rest, and they look a lot sharper. So, I mean, those were important responses on those fronts, but let's dive into the third line a little bit here too, Sean, because we've been talking about it. I mean, they haven't been able to get much going. I mean, Adam Lowry is here for his defensive game and for penalty killing, but, I mean, when you sign a long-term deal, he's a guy that wants to get to double digits in goals. Hadn't scored for a while, only had 2 in the year. He scores an important goal by getting to the net. I mean, that was the biggest thing for you, Sean. The Jets need to get to the front of the net, to get to the interior, to get to the blue paint. How do you think they did on that front?
Well, so this is why I liked the response that I heard after the game, because there's one thing about this team that, and I've said this in the past, I was talking about it on the pregame show with Kelly. I talked about it with Huss when I was on his show earlier today.
I heard you.
About the Jets, and that like kind of the so. If we take a look at that last goal that Mark Scheifele scores, it's exactly what I described to you the last time we were talking about this in that Calgary game. It's this sleight of hand trick that line does where they attack with speed, push back the defense, Wheeler comes in behind into the vacuum that's created, they drop the puck, those defensemen suddenly have to stop and kind of move into that vacuum to address him, and it sucks those guys in, then you pass it over across, and it's in the back of the net. That goal is the exact same goal as we saw in Calgary, except switch the sides of the ice and switch the guy pushing the defenseman back. Tonight it was Kyle Connor. The other night it was Mark Scheifele, and then switch the guys who are getting the pass and scoring the goal. It's that thing again, and Mark Scheifele scores that hat trick and he celebrates. And I don't want to be like the fun police, celebrate that stuff, celebrate it. But what I'm not necessarily wanting to see is a team that's like, yeah, look at us, and like, touching the hot stick a la Ovechkin and whooping it up, when it's like, guys, it's 8-4 against a team that's clearly not having a very good night. There was a lot of open ice there. They're coming off back-to-back games, and you're in the middle of a little bit of a funk here. So I don't necessarily want to see them kind of, hanging up the mission accomplished sign is the line I always like to use. I love that one. Thanks, George Bush, for giving that one to me, because I've used it so many times in my career, it's not even funny. But when we go into the post game, there's an idea from Mark Scheifele that he says, we enjoy this, and you have to enjoy these moments. And then we kind of move on and get back to work. What I liked from Paul Maurice was an acknowledgement, because Ken, before the game, to the point, I'm making my way back around to the original question that you asked there, but the idea of getting to the net, Paul Maurice, that's what tonight was supposed to be about. It was supposed to be about getting to the front of that net and creating chaos and getting some dirty goals. And that top line didn't do that. That top line scored the goals that we're used to seeing from them. But the kind of goals that Paul Maurice talked about earlier today, saying those are the kind of goals that disappear in the playoffs. You don't get those goals in the playoffs. So he came out and lauded the Stanley goal, or I guess Lowry ends up getting that goal, doesn't he? It's a tip. I think that's what but everyone thought it was the Logan Stanley goal. And remind me of the other goals that he had lauded tonight. There was 3 that he held up as examples of what they're looking for. The Morrissey goal, not the one that redirects into his own net off his face.
Tip from the Wheeler shot.
And then what was the third one that he was talking about?
Well, Vest getting to the crease.
Vesalainen getting to the crease, to the front of the net. Yeah, so Paul Maurice says those are structural goals. Those are what the Winnipeg Jets had been working on, trying to get to the front of the net, create chaos, take away the goaltender's eyes, get to the dirty spots, get to the high danger, high chance areas, high percentage areas. And so there's examples of that. And so what I love about it is I kind of asked him about the idea of, I mean, are you happy with that, or is there value in what, we saw from that top line? And he says the value in it is those goals aren't coaches' goals, right? You don't draw up what Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor did tonight. That's just skill taking games over. So if that's all he saw from the Jets tonight, he said he wouldn't be happy. And to me, that's basically what we saw in that Calgary game. Those were the kind of goals that won them that Calgary game. But I like the acknowledgement that, yeah, those goals are nice and they're pretty and they look great, but that's not the sustainable blueprint that's going to carry you forward. However, when you have skilled players like that who can score like that and put up points like that, if you balance it with the kind of goals that we saw from Vesalainen and Lowry or / Stanley, those other kind of hard-working goals, the Josh Morrissey goal, then you've got a balance, right? Then you can make things work. And so I love that acknowledgement, because if the team would have just come out and said, yeah, we put up 8 goals, it's great, we're back, I would have thrown up some red flags with that. But I like what I saw from them in regards to the idea that there was some stuff that they liked, and yeah, they liked the skill, but an acknowledgement that skill's not always going to be there. So they need to have the other part of their game in place if they're going to carry the success forward.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And again, this is not the Jets template. I mean, this is not the way they're going to be playing on Sunday if they hope to get a win against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And for the folks in the chat room who think that we're just passing this off as the slump is over, well, guess what? That's not what we're saying. The Jets needed to win today. They gave up 4 goals in a row at a time where it looked like they were in total control. Is that what they want to be doing? Of course not. But most of the things that they did to allow those goals were correctable errors. They're about to play 2 of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, in the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. The real tests are coming, with all due respect to the New Jersey Devils. We are saying that in full effect here. That's what's going to do it against a great team. At the same time, I don't agree with you when in terms of hat tricks are so hard to come by. Mark Scheifele hasn't had a hat trick since February of 2020. I have no problem with. I mean, like I said, I know how you preface it in saying you don't want to be the fun police. Celebrate a hat trick. I mean, they're hard to come by, especially all the guy's been hearing is how he hasn't been able to produce. So this wasn't a, you to the rest of the crew. This was happiness for a guy who not had forgotten how to score, but that has not been able to score as plentifully as he would like to do. So I got no problem with the reactions. I think they were not rubbing it in the face of their opponent. They were simply, for a team that needed to get going offensively, they had an outburst and they acted accordingly. Having said that, I mean, hey, the beauty of sports, you're already got to think about your next opponent. But for a team that only won once in their last 7, they should enjoy that for a moment. And then they're going to flip the page and then get ready from there because the test is going to be stiffer. Yes, they will benefit from the fact that the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing the Minnesota Wild on Saturday night at Excel. Will the Jets get a backup once again? I mean, we'll see. I'm very curious, Sean, in terms of how Sheldon Keefe handles this scenario. I mean, with all due respect to the Jets, the Wild are a division leader. So you would expect Jack Campbell to go tomorrow night against Minnesota, would you not?
Well, listen,
That's what I would do if I were them.
The Devils came in here and played this series as though the Minnesota Wild were the bigger threat, because they are the bigger threat. Right now,
in terms of the standings, they are, yeah.
Well, and in terms of how these two teams are playing right now,
sure.
If you're taking a look, the Minnesota Wild are the big dogs in this conference. So when guys are coming in, it's an added element, Ken, I think, to this whole kind of thing where it's so often either the Jets getting the second of a back-to-back with the team playing Minnesota the night before, or Minnesota getting the second of the back-to-back with the team playing the Jets the night before. But usually the Jets have been the big dog, and now we're starting to see these decisions that are being made based on the bigger threat being the Minnesota Wild. So I find it interesting how they're going to come out and do that. I fully expect that Campbell will go against the Minnesota Wild and that the Jets are going to get the backup goaltender. I just wanted to say something, Ken. I have no problem with them celebrating the hat trick. I've got no problem with that. I guess the point I was trying to make is
you're the fun police.
I feel like in the past we've seen the Jets really kind of celebrate something to the point that there's almost like a bit of an arrogance to it that is kind of, belying the fact that things may not have gone that well in the game. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
We come back and we beat the Ottawa Senators last year 4-3 after being down 3-1 to that team, and we've got this, let's celebrate and let's have fun. It's like there's a little bit of maybe acknowledge in that you didn't have your best night, and just pulling it out at the end isn't the ideal scenario. Now, I don't think that tonight applies for that, because the Jets just needed a win and to get some good feelings back in the room. But I'll say this: the celebration was followed by a real realization of, we haven't accomplished anything yet. We just got to, and that's what I need to see. I guess that's, if I see a celebration that's followed with, we took it to him tonight, I don't like to see that. When I see a celebration like that followed, like, I'm going to enjoy this right now, and then we're going to get back to work, because let's be honest, there was a lot of open ice in that game, and that's not what it's going to look like against the best in the league. Now I'm hearing what I need to hear. So I heard what I needed to hear tonight, including the celebration, because this team does need to have fun, because fun has been in short supply for the last one.
And that's what I mean. I mean, for a team that has not been able to score almost at all, 5 games of 1 or fewer in that 7-game stretch. So if you put up 8, you should enjoy all 8. I mean, they're not going to enjoy the 4 they allowed, especially the 4 unanswered, until they were finally answered by 5. I mean, so let's get to this. Sorry, Scott, right before I came on here, we're going to open it up. We're opening up the phone lines in the chat room here. Nice. I would like everyone to vote. Our friend Scott Billick, a.k.a. The Flute, we were having a debate over which goal was prettier. His vote is for the second goal, the end-to-end. Great delay on the wrister that kind of sneaks through the pillows of Jonathan Meunier. I thought he kind of was shortchanging the one-timer goal. I think the one-timer goal is an absolute beauty. The end-to-ender is fine. I just don't think that the goal should have been scored. I think that that's a save that's got to be made by Jonathan Bernier, whereas I don't think that Bernier has any chance of stopping the one-timer, first because of the entry by Kyle Connor, and secondly because of the pass that Wheeler puts right in the wheelhouse for Scheifele to bang home the one-timer. So for all the folks, and again, the first goal might have been the prettiest of the bunch based on the soft hand plays in tight and going to the backhand shelf. So please submit your votes. We don't have an official poll, but we'll give you a look here, and we'll see what people say by the end. And by no means, I mean, I said in the press box, I said right before Scheifele took the puck, I'm like, Scheifele wants it. And not only did he want it, he went end-to-end with it and then made a great play to get the shot off and get it through. So I just think that the shot on the third, to me, is much more impressive than the shot on the second. But I'm not diminishing the end-to-end element, which is impressive. But I think the first was probably the prettiest, and the third is the one that was probably the best shot. So those are my votes. Scott does not agree. His vote is for the second goal. Sean, where does your vote go?
Between 2 and 3?
Well, all of them are open, but for sure 2 of 3 for now.
Okay, what I liked about 2 is I liked the mindset, and I tweeted that out earlier on tonight. I liked the mindset of Mark Scheifele, that he was just going to go and he was going to take the puck to the net tonight until someone stopped him. And on the first goal, no one stopped him. He just got through. The second one, he got to the point where he had guys closing in on him. There was nowhere else to go. So he took the puck with aggression as far as he could go, and then takes a shot. Now, you can tell by Bernier's reaction that he wasn't happy, right? It's a bad goal on that goaltender. It's a cruddy goal. It's a hole. It leaks through. So, I mean, I do think that somewhat takes away from the goal. Sorry,
Sorry, that was my point.
Yeah. So it's not as nice because Bernier stinks on that, and Bernier stunk tonight. Like, he wasn't very. That's one thing that we should acknowledge here as well. And I guess now that I'm getting a reputation as being part of the fun police, let's throw it out there. The Devils didn't look very good tonight, so let's not plan the parade over a Devils team coming in tonight and leaving wide open ice all over the place, having one surge throughout the game, and really not pushing.
I can't hear you.
Is that my mic that's doing that?
Unplugged. You're muted.
Try that. Good. How's this happening?
Technical difficulties at our best here.
You know what? I'm cutting out of the show. You're going to stay in. I'll talk
okay,
right
buddy.
back,
Okay, sounds good. Anyways, folks, keep those votes coming, and we'll continue to deal with that from there. What else caught your attention tonight, folks? Obviously, we know there's a lot to get through. We'll continue to go through it. A lot of talk about Christian Vesalainen. I thought he was excellent in this game here this evening. Obviously, he got the early goal, and what a great setup by Paul Stastny. And from there, he seemed to have a lot of confidence to me. Vesalainen, this was his best game in a while. I understand that, I know that the other night he didn't have any shifts in the third, only played 4 minutes and change. Paul Maurice said he would be giving him an opportunity on the third line. Hey, here's your chance. And in game one, he did a good job with it, and we'll see what he does after that. What do you think of Vesalainen, Sean?
I thought he was phenomenal. And Mike,
still your mic is no good.
Let's take this out.
No, nothing. Perfect timing for the lawnmower as well here. Give me a mic check here. No, you got nothing. You're muted though. You're muted.
How's that work?
Better, but it's not good.
A little bit of a delay. I don't know what's going on here, Ken. But,
what about turning up the volume on the mic? Would that be possible?
Well, let's try this mic one last time.
Okay.
See if we can get this going here.
Okay.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4.
Not the same.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Better?
No. Is there volume on there?
What's that?
Volume. What about the volume on the microphone?
Check 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, it's not working.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. Got it. Check. Okay. We may have to cut this short. Let me see if I can't get Scott. Well, Scott, you can be on. Scott.
All right, in Svetch we trust PLD. I don't see the Jets as being fragile. I know they had a stretch where they seemed to be lacking confidence. I don't think that they're fully out of the funk, if you will. We're going to find out, as Blake Wheeler said after Monday's game, you're going to find out what they're made of in these next two games against the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. And then they'll go back out on the road for their first game against the Seattle Kraken, and then they'll play the Vancouver Canucks on the road in a back-to-back. I think those are interesting games. I think we're around the bend for another Eric Comrie start. I think he'll be eager and ready to go probably in that Vancouver game once again. But I would say this was certainly allows the Jets to take a deep breath, especially when it comes to their offensive game. All we did was hear this week about how the Jets were doing this deep dive about what they needed to get going. Well, when you put up 8, you have a chance to take a deep breath and see what happens. 7 of those coming at even strength. I would say that the power play goal will give them a bit of a boost. Obviously, it's still, I think, 3 for 30, 3 for 38. So, it obviously is not solved. I thought that the second unit, the Ehlers unit, did a nice job on a lot of fronts of getting their shot through. What we saw in practice from Kyle Connor, getting a lot of shots and there being chaos created by Pierre-Luc Dubois in front. We didn't see that as much. I think the Jets had some issues with their entries, and when they were in zone, there were some challenges at times to generate great chances for that first unit, but obviously they still were able to manage one goal there, so it will help them to a degree. In terms of the penalty kill, I mean, it took a perfect pass from Thomas Tatar to find Damon Severson. I think actually Neil Pionk did a nice job of getting the pressure on Tatar, but it was a perfect pass through the feet. Severson with a shot off the post and in. So, I mean, overall, what penalty kill only had the 2 opportunities. They killed off the second one. Special teams will still be an area of focus, especially in these 2 games coming up. We know that both those teams are quite prolific when it comes to offense, so the Jets will have to continue to be disciplined as they were tonight, but their PK still needs to improve, and their power play, despite getting the goal, I think it's something that they'll need to keep going, getting a little bit more chemistry on, because I don't think that they had the crisp puck movement that they were hoping for after the structural change. We're going to give it a... No.
Scotty will be here right away.
What about the headphones into the laptop? What's that?
Power play. What do you think of the power play?
Yeah, power play. I think that the Jets had some signs, but overall, I don't think it was optimal. Let's just say. Oh, Eric, you can hear Sean. Okay, well, let's give her again here.
Don't worry about it. Scotty will be right here. Just take us through your thoughts on the power play.
Sure. So I don't mind the structural change, and I think that Mark Scheifele can be super dangerous in that high slot as well. I just didn't think that there was enough movement and enough generated from the top between that trio, whether it was Wheeler, Pionk, or Kyle Connor. The in-zone setup wasn't quite at the level that we are used to seeing in the past. And then from there, I thought the second unit did a better job of getting shots going. Again, back to Paul Stastny, Sean. I thought that Paul Stastny was excellent on a lot of fronts. I thought that he really helped bring some patience to the power play, specifically when it comes to the puck movement down low. And from there, I thought that they were able to generate, and obviously Ehlers had some generation there as well. Oh, Scotty is with us. Sean's going to look for a different area.
I got home. I made it home this time. Also, the chat, you can tell, is clearly on my side. So.
You're home?
Yeah.
I can barely hear you. You got your headphones in, or what do you got going here?
No, I don't. Do you need them? This is audio night tonight.
Yeah, audio for everybody here.
I'm echoing off of your computer because you're not using a mic.
Oh, hang on a second here.
If you have one.
Well, thanks for joining us, Scotty. What were your general thoughts on the game here?
Can you hear me without echoing? Okay, I thought the game was up and down, obviously. There you go. Can you hear me now? Without echo? Yeah, okay. I think you can hear me without the echo now. Yeah, it's bad. Is it bad? Like, I don't know why I'm so loud. Anyways.
Your volume is low, it seems to me.
My input volume was low. Okay, hold on. How about now? I can hear you. Like, I think the problem is the echo, but...
I'm echoing for you?
No, you're not echoing for me. I'm echoing off of you. So, yeah.
Let's start with Mark Scheifele. Scotty, what did you think of Mark Scheifele's response to his recent, one assist in 5 games, I would say, let's say, offensive challenges?
Yeah, maybe mute me while I'm talking. Or mute yourself, sorry, while I'm talking. Yeah, I thought Scheifele had a good game tonight. I mean, he looked determined, and I think that was maybe the biggest thing that was there. Sean's back now. I thought the biggest thing with Scheifele is he just looked determined. Like it almost looked like he needed to have a game where he was going to take ownership of it, go out there and find a way to win, and he did it. I mean, here's a guy who I think the pressure just on himself is mounting in terms of how. I mean, this is a guy who wants to make the Olympics, and there is no case for him right now. And I thought tonight probably it puts him back on the radar. So yeah, I thought he was good. I thought Scheifele was quite good. I thought Blake Wheeler was good. I know there's been a lot of hate on Wheeler and that sort of thing. I thought Blake Wheeler played a great game. Nikolai Ehlers looked again. There's a guy who, Paul Maurice said it this morning or yesterday, I think, to Kenny, when Kenny asked, what is the line of Dubois and Ehlers going to look like? And Paul Maurice was fairly honest. We don't know, because last year, Pierre-Luc Dubois wasn't the Pierre-Luc Dubois that is playing this year. And so, you see how Ehlers and him kind of figured it out. Dubois assists on both of those goals, and one of them is a perfect cross-seam pass to Ehlers, and the other one is a little chip shot, and Ehlers takes it one time in his stride. I mean, those are goals that you would like to see. That's the sort of chemistry you want to see between Dubois and Ehlers if you're going to have the Connor, Scheifele, and Wheeler line. So that's sort of how I see it. So, Kenny, did you have the headphones?
My headphones are in, bud.
Are they? Oh, you have those. Okay. The audio seems to be coming through your computer.
Yeah, Ken, adjust your mic, because it's Scotty was doing just fine, and then you came on, and it's that thing where you're playing God with our mics like you did last year. I'll say I wanted to go back. I wanted to talk about the power play. One of the things I worried about tonight was, and Scott, you and I, actually, Scott, you're the perfect guy to have this conversation with, because we were wondering about Kyle Connor in that spot. I thought that first power play looked pretty atrocious tonight. Now, they end up getting off the schneid. They do so with an individual effort by Mark Scheifele. Again, I really like the way Mark Scheifele basically said, I'm going to take this as far as I can, force you to stop me, and then get that shot off. So I liked how he did that. The one thing that I thought was really interesting, and what a risk it was to take if you're Paul Maurice, who I don't think I was at the stage where I thought that his job was in danger. I know a lot of the audience definitely thought that. I don't know how you felt about that. But the water's starting to warm up, right? It's not boiling yet, but the water was warming up. For him to take and put Kyle Connor in a spot that Kyle Connor admitted he'd never really been in before.
Right.
For him to kind of take that and kind of build a power play. We know on the one side, Blake Wheeler is not really a threat to score from there. He wants to dish the puck. He doesn't really shoot it that often. He hasn't been a threat in that spot for a number of years. Pionk hasn't really been that much of a threat from the top. Mark Scheifele has been a threat in the past in that spot. And we, have to feel that Pierre-Luc Dubois could be the kind of guy who could create some havoc. But to me, it was a risk to go in that direction because you've got, a number of guys, especially specifically Kyle Connor, in a spot that he's never really worked before. I didn't think the risk paid off. What did you think of the power play in the first line and the secondary unit, which I thought actually started looking fairly dangerous?
Yeah. Are we good, Kenny? You're good? You're muted now.
You got to come off your mute, Ken.
Yeah. Now. Am I coming through again?
You're perfect now. My mic was not showing up on my preferences, so sorry about that.
Jerk move, Ken. Jerk move, my friend.
Yeah. Anyways, to answer your question, Sean, I thought the second unit was better, obviously. I thought, they've said this new power play is a work in progress, right? I mean, Paul Maurice said that yesterday. He said that leading up to it, like they're trying, what did he call it? Significant philosophical change, I believe is what he called it.
Right.
Philosophical change, right? And so they're trying, but you're right, Sean. I thought about this during the day, and like, how much different is that power play really than it was with the Ehlers on that same side? It's almost kind of the same. My argument was that Kyle Connor is better, visionary when it comes to moving a puck into the middle, that sort of thing. But I'm just not sure. I mean, I thought I'm at least home this time, but I'm still in my truck, so it is what it is. I needed to come. I needed to rescue the show because Sean was.
You did. And Scotty, you know what I love about you, Scotty? You come on this show and you give your opinions and you keep a great thread of it, but you always read the comments at the same time. And I know that blows up a lot of people. I mean, if we remember at the beginning of the year, Hammy came on and he hadn't done it for a while, and it absolutely discombobulated him. So
it's hard.
we got to have like a trophy for Scotty for like being like the guy who can like stay on track, stop and address the comments, have a good laugh at them, and then just march right back on. It's a level of focus that is required for Kenny and Renny, and I think you do it better than anyone, my friend. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, no, I just, the more I thought about what we talked about at the morning skate, the more I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And then we kind of saw it tonight, right? It was a little, I mean, Scheifele's goal comes on the power play, but there's nothing there. I mean, that's not them setting up in the zone. It's really late in the period. I think it was excellent, a hockey IQ from Mark Scheifele. And he said it after the game, and I believe him, where he's coming into the zone. He's like, okay, he's just going to come down and try and wire a shot on goal, and the goalie's going to save it. Well, Scheifele goes toe drag, puts it through Siegenthaler's legs, and then scores a goal. Maybe he caught him sleeping, but I mean, this is more my argument to this whole second and third goal thing that Kenny brought up. I sort of brought it up because I wanted people to roast Kenny, and it's worked. I mean,
it's not working.
You can go and do the receipts, Kenny, later, but we'll go for
I will.
But anyway, but no, I think the second unit just knows how to play together, and Paul Maurice talked about that. He talked about Stastny and Kopp and Ehlers on that unit have a certain way of snapping it around to each other, and it looked good. I thought it looked good tonight. Ehlers was dynamic. That power play always seems to be dynamic together, and I didn't think the first power play always got it set up as much as they could. I don't know what it is with that one. And to your point this morning, Sean, it was like, maybe Neil Pionk just isn't quick enough distributing the puck at the point. But this was kind of the thing from a couple of years ago or last year. It was like, is he just not? He's not as quick as Dustin Byfuglien was, right? And they haven't really had a guy to kind of anchor the point still. So I'm not sure if that's it. Maybe they should. I don't know. Maybe try somebody else. Maybe try Kyle Connor up there. I don't know, but it's just the way that they're doing it, and I'm just not sure it works. It's just they're trying really hard to make this top line power play work with Wheeler, but I don't think it's just Wheeler's fault. I just think there's just not enough, as you said this morning, they don't have that Patrick Laine option anymore, that one-timer, right? And if you fire it over to Wheeler, well, his shot isn't a one-time. It's not, they give up that shot, which tells you everything. The opposing PK gives up that shot, and then that's sort of the thing that's telling, right? They don't respect his one-timer. And it's just, and kudos to that. I mean, it's not as good as Patrick Laine's, obviously, but it's not as good as Kyle Connors or even Nikolai Ehlers. But they don't put Ehlers on that side or either of those two on their offside. So I'm not entirely sure what they're supposed to do on that power play. It's just you kind of hope one guy places the puck perfectly and scores a goal, and then you're like, oh, everything's good again. But you can see when that shot, the accuracy isn't there, it's just not going in.
I mean, I'll say this. No one in the league other than Alexander Ovechkin has the one-timer on that power play the way that and I still feel this way. I don't think that's gone away. I don't think that he's got what Patrick Laine has. I think they haven't been able to unlock that. I don't think that's gone anywhere. But I'll say this. I think that Kyle Connor could be not quite at that level, but pretty darn close to that level. I just don't think they're getting that puck over. And to your point, Pionk in that spot, one of the things that Byfuglien was a phenomenal puck distributor, but one of the things that allowed him to be like that was the fact that he had a shot that if you didn't respect the shot, that he was going to burn you with it. And so I don't think that Neil Pionk has that. I wonder, and maybe you don't want to break this up because we've seen, Josh Morrissey doing well this year, and I believe he leads the Jets in power play goals. But Schmidt does a really good job of setting him up for the one-timer, and I wonder if there should be a little bit of focus put into getting Schmidt in that spot, and to the point that some people were making in the chat room, having Mark Scheifele, who's capable of taking that one-timer, and then on the other side, having Kyle Connor, because I do really think that Kyle Connor has the ability we've seen on the one-timer, and we saw the one-timer from Scheifele tonight. If you had the right puck distributor, I think that we get back to that element of the team being able to do that. But just right now, to me, and I said this morning, taking Nick Ehlers out of that spot and putting Kyle Connor in that spot reeked of them trying to turn Kyle Connor into Nick Ehlers and asking him to do the exact same thing that Nick Ehlers did. And I think Nick Ehlers is really good at that. And I think Kyle Connor is good enough that he can play that role. But I still think they're moving away. And I said that earlier today. the thing that I thought was most important about the way they structured the power play was putting Pierre-Luc Dubois in front of the net was a clear signal that the Jets were trying to get to the front of the net and have something happen at the front of the net. That was the theme that they wanted to go with tonight. They were carrying that theme onto the power play. We've heard the Jets talk about the idea that if you can score on the power play, it creates confidence in the offense, even away from, the man advantage. So I thought that they were trying to push that theme tonight, but tonight was not. I don't think anyone on that coaching staff thinks that what they landed on today is what we're going to look like if the Jets are going into the playoffs. They're not carrying that into the playoffs. To me, this reeked of a temporary solution, and I just thought that maybe with all the line juggling and blending, what they needed was stability and a better plan than moving things around and asking, Mark Scheifele to go back to what he did before, Blake Wheeler to do what he did before, putting Pierre-Luc Dubois in front of the net, and then asking Kyle Connor to be Nick Ehlers.
Yeah, one quick one, Sean. Morrissey's now dipped to second on the power play goals. Dubois has 4. He is the new leader. Getting him to the front of the net, very smart in 2 things. A, big body. B, excellent on retrievals. And C, the ability to win those puck battles down low to keep kind of plays alive. Because as we've talked about so much, too much one and done for the Winnipeg Jets. Both a lot of time at 5-on-5, but especially on the power play this year. If the one-timer hasn't been going straight in, you haven't seen that chaos around the front of the net. And Dubois does a great job of getting there, getting the screen, but also the retrievals. That's an element the Jets have not had enough on in order to get those second and third chances with the man advantage.
Penalty kill, guys. We should dive into that because failed for the first one. Did you see any signs of improvement? I mean, it's funny on a night where we were thinking, and I know that Christian O'Mell on CJOB had thought that was going to be the difference maker tonight. The special teams really was not the difference maker for the Winnipeg Jets. And one thing that I think you walk away from this game and think nothing has really been fixed in that regard.
Yeah, for me, I mean, like I said earlier when we were having our difficulties, it's a great pass by Tatar. It was not a chase situation. I think that Pionk was actually in the right position. The Jets had funneled the puck towards the left defenseman, who got it down to Tatar, who makes a perfect pass through the feet of Pionk. Severson kind of sneaks back door with a perfect shot. I wouldn't say that is necessarily a structural breakdown. And on the second one, the penalty kill was fine. I mean, the most important part for the Jets is they only took the 2 penalties. Now, the second one is an offensive zone penalty that is easily avoidable. But overall, the discipline factor was fine. The Jet, like we talked about the pressure, Sean. The pressure points were in the right spot. Lowry had gone to the left defenseman. Pionk is down low. I mean, the second forward, could you say the least dangerous player on that scenario out of the 5 people was Damon Severson. So that's the shot that you give up. You would prefer to give up that shot than the backdoor tap in. So that's why I say I don't think it's a structural issue. I mean, could the Jets have reacted a little bit quicker, gotten in the shot lane? Sure. But I think that is, out of all the positions to give up a shot from, that's the least dangerous. So I don't think that's a big issue on that goal.
Well, hold on. So this, to me, when I look at what went wrong in that power play and the fact that Severson gets the puck and has all day to skate in, and it's the perfect shot. You'll find guys often take the perfect shot when they've got all the time in the world to do it. What I would say is structurally, maybe not a lot went wrong based on what the Jets are trying to play there. But this goes back to the all or nothing idea of the aggression that they try to play with both on the penalty kill, but that I've talked about in their forecheck as well. The Jets try to cut the ice in half, build a fence, and not allow the puck to get through that. But when it does get through the fence, the other team has the puck with all kinds of time, and that's exactly what we saw there. The problem with that play, Ken, is, and I mean, if you play it perfectly, it's great. You cut things off, but it's Andrew Kopp's man, and it's that lane that Andrew Kopp doesn't see the guy behind him. Severson moves up a little bit, the angle changes, and then the puck is able to get through. Is it a puck that's challenged and almost turned over? Yes, but it goes to my point, which I've said time and time again with the Jets structure this season. It's all or nothing. If that puck gets through, there's a problem, and that was the problem that happened there on a penalty kill. That problem has happened far too often this season.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
Yeah.
Pionk is in the right position. It's a pass through his feet. I mean, either Brendan Dillon has to get up to contest that shot, or Kopp has to kind of, I guess, get back to a certain degree. But Kopp was in the right spot also. I mean, right defense is the least dangerous spot right there on the ice. I mean, it's not a one-timer from the slot
until
which
you
is
get
covered
to him and he's got the whole half of the ice to skate in on the net with it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're not
I'm more worried about how
but if that puck gets through, it's a problem. And the puck got through.
I think I'd be more worried about how the. Well, I just think I'd be more worried about how the PK seemed to change the game a little bit, right? Like, again, the Jets kind of went into a lull after that goal went in, and it just kind of cost them. And I think that's more of the worry than anything. Like, I kind of agree with Ken. I don't think structurally they imploded on that PK. It's just it's a good shot, and they found the right guy, right? Like, I mean, I'm not saying that you're saying that's not the case. I'm just wondering if, I don't know. I'm more worried about, like, did that PK goal sink their confidence a little bit more, right? But I'm not sure, because their PK hadn't been that bad heading into the game, where they kept the Wild off, I thought, in that game. I'm not sure, Arizona didn't score on the power play, so I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. I'm not I'm not under the sheets, don't worry. But I don't know. I think the PK sometimes is kind of the downfall of this team, and it really kind of sets the mood for the next little bit in the game. And I'm kind of wondering if that's what happened tonight. That'd be more than anything, because maybe they thought they did everything right on that PK and they still got scored on. Like Kenny said, I mean, it didn't seem like there was a structural implosion on that, but it kind of set off a 4-goal run for the Devils. And I'm sure, I don't know. I'm looking more at the macro than the micro on that one.
I don't think that there was a structural implosion. Like, I don't think the guys are out of place. It's the point that I've been trying to make for a long time now, both on their forecheck and on their penalty kill. The Jets play an all-or-nothing style that creates a lot of turnovers and forces the other team to make decisions quickly. But if they make the right decision and it gets through, it's not an implosion. That's the weakness of the Jets system. If the puck gets through a stick and a leg, then it gets into a spot where nobody is, because everyone is there to try and stop the pass rather than prevent the pass. That's the only point I'm making. Just Before you do something here, Ken, I wanted to get to this because it got ruined before the mic went on there. Before your mic went on the fritz there, and I saw Tristan Rivers when it was in here. We love playing his music. It was asked for earlier on. I know there's only 7 minutes left in the show. Let's make it a Sean's Headband version of Kenny and Renny. All right, Kenny, your response. Sorry to cut you off.
I totally know what you're saying, Sean, but when the puck goes to the least dangerous player on the ice, it is not a breakdown.
How is he the least? I never.
He's the least dangerous player on the ice, furthest away from the puck, and in a non-dangerous scoring area.
It looked like it. He got the puck and had the entire ice to skate in and pick the corner. How is he not dangerous? If you're at the blue line, but everyone is so far over on the ice to cut off the puck that you have the entire ice to skate in from the point and shoot and pick your spot on the goaltender, how is he not a dangerous player?
I didn't say he was not dangerous. I said he was the least dangerous player. A guy at the right point is the least dangerous person on the ice in that situation.
Sure.
Anyway, agree to disagree.
On the season, he's not all.
It's not like it was Ovechkin left untouched in front of the net. I mean, it's not Connor McDavid by himself or Draisaitl.
There you go.
That's all.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah. No, I agree.
Were they a little bit overly aggressive? I can get on board with that commentary.
But I'm not saying that. You're not listening to me.
I am listening to you. I think they should have done a better job of contesting. There still should be Brendan Dillon should be able to contest that shot. He's the left point. Pionk is in the corner as the
So
right D.
you're
The
saying-
left
you're saying they
defenseman,
overbanked it. You're
the
saying they
left
overbanked it.
defenseman should be able to contest the shot, is my opinion. I'd have to go back and look at it again. I think that Kopp and Lowry, their read was accurate. They had the slot covered and one had the point covered. The left point, the point on the puck where the side of the puck where the puck was being
Yeah, we're getting too
moved
deep
from.
into this. We're getting too deep. We need visual. We need visual backup if we're going to dive into it to this point. What do we want to tackle last before we shut this down? Scotty, I'm going to leave the floor to you. What stood out for you tonight?
I think for the second time in the last 3 games, the Jets haven't given up on it when it looked like they could have. Like the same thing with the Calgary game. This one you go down 4-3 after building that lead. I mean, some might think you just pack it in there. I thought they showed some resolve tonight again. That might be it. Don't let facts get in the way of a good story, right? That's a journalist creed right there. No, anyways, the slew foot. We should talk about that. Did Ehlers? So I didn't hear the last half. Did Ehlers address that at all?
Yeah, he said I don't want to talk about it. You go look at it, which basically said, it was.
That was bad, like PK Sluban, right? Like, I mean, that's kind of the joke that we had in the press box. But I don't know, like it's not the Brad Marchand like vicious slew foot. It's a sneaky slew foot that he got away with, obviously. But it's just as dangerous.
It is dangerous, but I think too the one. I'm not taking him off the hook. I think it was a bad play, but I think it was more just based on the response. He responded and was apologizing so quickly and so prophetically or profoundly, even all the way to the bench. If it was not an accident, I mean, I understand that when you get fined for slew footing, the microscope is on you. But he basically apologized as soon as he went to the ice, into the corner, and all the way back to the bench. He was given the, no, I didn't mean to do it. So I don't think it was.
I don't know. I think we're letting PK off the hook here a little bit too easily. I mean, if Brad Marchand just all this. Yeah.
It was a gentleman's slip.
That's right.
Great
That's
line.
right. Yeah.
Great line.
And again, I totally understand. If I'm Ehlers, I'm pissed about it.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. You should be pissed.
But what I'm saying is I don't think it was blatantly intentional, even though I understand why some people may not give him the benefit of the doubt. But I just don't think you respond that vehemently if it was not an accident.
In the way that he hits a guy, that he's like, oh shoot, I did it again, right? Like it's almost like, and like I have to apologize because I know I'm doing it wrong.
My bad.
But this is the way that I hit guys. Like I don't know. Like I have a tough time with that because. Like, Subban doesn't need to do that against Ehlers is a tough guy, don't get me wrong. But Subban outweighs him, outside, like all that stuff. Like, you don't need to take, Nikolai Ehlers into that with your foot behind. Like, I have a tough time with that. I hate that hit because it can put a guy on the shelf for a long time. And it wouldn't matter. I didn't like the way that Subban or that Marchand did it to what's his name either. Like, I just don't like those hits. I think they're very dirty and, like, I keep saying Sluban now. Subban's was like, it's sneaky dirty, right? Like the ref didn't even make a mention of it, right? And then Ehlers, after the goal that was scored after it, Ehlers is jawing at Subban. I don't know if they showed this on the telecast, but Ehlers is jawing at Subban, and him and the ref, Ehlers and the ref, have a long chat about it because he's still pissed off about it. So I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like the hit. I think Ehlers was I just wish he would have went Brady Tkachuk after the game. That's all. We need more of that Brady Tkachuk stuff right there. Call him a brickhead or whatever.
It's such a crazy to see Dougie Hamilton react the way that he did with the baseball swing.
I know.
To me, that is more blatant because he chose to wind up. That's
right,
my only
that was
point
like
there.
Josh Morrissey's slash, right? It was just like pure frustration, turn around.
Well, Morrissey's was on the shin pad, and this is on the back of the leg.
Both of them are dangerous, though. I mean, you can bust a guy's leg if you're the shin pad, no problem. If you do it,
not no problem.
Oh, I don't know.
It was the time and place of it was no good, Ken. You have to admit that.
Oh no, I'm not saying it was good. I just
think they're both in a way where, like the Hamilton, he was just frustrated and he took whack. Like I get it. I don't know. I think he deserves a fine. Sure, yeah.
I'll say this: what I liked least about the Dougie Hamilton thing is the guy's wearing an A, and like they're down. I think they're down 3 in that game. And I guess I get the idea at that point is he's mad and he's like, okay, we're down 3, we're out of this game, I'm just going to take retribution. But one thing that I'll give the Jets credit for time and time again is we've seen so many of these miracle comebacks by the Jets over the years because they don't make plays like that in those moments in the game. They always kind of stay true to the idea of doing the right things to get themselves back in the game. And I just thought in that moment, like, you know, you want to know why you're getting drubbed 8-4 on a night like this is because your A is out there taking retributions on guys for like a little bit of a, like, get up, go back to the bench, and you know, it's not your night, move on from it. But I was thinking, yeah, they're probably not going to win. And okay, so maybe if you think you're not going to win, you decide to take retribution and be a little selfish. But it's being selfish regardless. And in that moment, whether they come back or not, if Dougie Hamilton is wearing an A and choosing to two-hand a guy rather than do the right thing for the team, I just wonder the message that sends. And to me, it was the reaction of a bench that had given up. I thought that the Devils had a push tonight. And then as soon as the Jets pushed back, I thought that they entirely folded. Now, maybe it has something to do with the idea that they played the night before. But I didn't like the Jets, how they fell asleep and allowed New Jersey back into the game. I liked Jersey's response, but after that, I liked the Jets' response, and I liked nothing about what Jersey did after that point in the game. The Jersey had one little push here tonight, and as soon as they got pushed back, they decided to fold it up. And I thought that Dougie Hamilton slashing Andrew Kopp in the back of the legs was just a perfect microcosm of that on this night. Anything else to say, guys, before we shut this down?
I think the Ice are playing Saskatoon tomorrow, so tickets available if you send me a DM or an email, and we'll try to get you over there to see the Ice. I think it looked like they had beaten Saskatoon again tonight. Another big win for them. Carson Lambos going to the World Junior Camp, along with Cole Perfetti. And if you missed it, folks, we had Cole Perfetti on along with Greg Wyshynski of ESPN on our weekly long-form show yesterday. Check that out on our YouTube channel. And otherwise, we will catch you on Sunday. It's going to be a doubleheader for me. I'll be down at the Bomber game in the afternoon, at the Jets game at night. And then we'll be going late into the night with another post-game show after the Jets and Leafs get together.
Kenny, I've been waiting for you to wrap up one of these shows for a long time. You finally stepped up and did it. I guess you feel a little apologetic after destroying everyone's mic earlier in the show. I appreciate you stepping up. Thank you so much, everybody. The chat room was fire, as it usually is. And like Kenny said, get your requests in for the Ice, and we will see you on Sunday after what should be a big one. Have a good weekend, everyone.